Welcome to this episode of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. I'm Jess, sales coach and leadership expert, and I am really excited to dig down into today's episode. Okay, so I am really excited to bring somebody else to you poddies today. And Mike, for you, poddies is what we call our Smart Leaders Sell podcast listeners. So I'm bringing the amazing Mike Morrison, and I'm going to say amazing, and I'm going to use this loosely because...
Hang on, I'm not liking where this is going.
This is a roast, okay? So I met Mike last year when I was at Upreneur in 2017, and I was relatively drunk at the time. And in fact, I had just been at happy hour in the bar on the Friday night, and I had convinced Pat Flynn to hug some random woman because she had missed out on a hug earlier in the day, apparently. And I was stood outside the toilets with a lovely man called Ben, and we were having a really lovely chat about ecological housing or something. And he said, "You should know Mike," because I said I'd recently been to the north, and I said, right, okay, that's great. And I turned around and there was Mike, and we had a little chat, and you turned out to be from Newcastle, and I said that I was a Sunderland fan, and you went, "That's the worst thing I've ever heard." And that is exactly how I met you. So for those of you who are listening, I'm introducing you to Mike Morrison, who is amazing and is one half of the membership guys and has a supremely successful business, but also is the man who slated me at Upreneur for saying that Sunderland was a bad choice in football. So welcome.
Yeah, wow. Okay, I'm now starting to think that I've been set up, that this is some kind of year-long master plan to just bring me on here and just demolish me for that slight. Although in fairness, I mean, I suppose admitting that you're a Sunderland fan maybe should have gained you a little more respect. Not being the Sunderland fan, but admitting to it. So yeah, I apologise for that.
I know the Alan Shearer things that are going on. So tell people what you actually do, because you guys have an amazing business, and I watched your talk last year at Upreneur after you slated me. But foregoing that, it was one of my favourite talks of last year, and I did actually do a whole podcast episode on why I really liked it. So just before you think that all I did was be like, Mike Morrison, terrible man, he did an entire episode on you liked his talk though. So what's the formal bio?
Okay, so I run, along with my other half, many will say better half, Callie Willows. We run the membership guys. So we teach people how to plan, build, grow and run successful online memberships. And we do that through a variety of ways. One of those ways is inside our own membership site, about membership sites, because we're a big fan of the meta, but we also podcast. We both have our podcast. We blog, speak at events around the world, write books. I always forget that I've written books as well. So I can write. And we host events as well. So that's all we do. Memberships is our entire life. It's our entire world. And we are blessed to have been able to help hundreds and thousands of people with their membership businesses in a variety of different industries from all over the world.
I love this because memberships have had a really interesting rap over the last few years when it comes to sales, because at some point a few years ago, everyone was like, oh my God, if you don't have a membership site, you're basically a nobody. You are out of the club. And actually membership sites are quite difficult to set up. They can be quite challenging to run, especially when you're a newbie business owner and you have no audience.
Yeah.
And so, people started realizing that and then going, memberships are terrible. Nobody should have a membership. They are awful. Do not enjoy recurring income. Do not pass go. Do not do anything. So with you guys, the fact that you've built this, and it's a really loyal and really solid community around, let's produce some of the world's most interesting memberships. Like, your members are doing so many different things. They're not just business building memberships.
Yeah, I've kind of been running businesses initially sort of on the side when I was younger, online from about the age of 17. So I've seen the bandwagon on memberships come around 3 or 4 times now. It always looks the same. It's not a particularly unique bandwagon. The same thing happens with the $2,000 course bandwagon. The same thing happens with the high ticket retreat bandwagon. And all of these things on their own, like outside of the hype, outside the nonsense, you know, a high ticket $2,000 course or whatever, it's a great business model if it's done right. High ticket retreats and mastermind groups, great business model if it's done right. Memberships, fantastic business model if it's done right. The problem isn't the model. The problem is the people who jump onto it as the flavor of the month. If you don't do this thing, your business will die. And it's nonsense. It's overblown. It's hype. It's usually a hit and run cash grab. And then come back in 2 or 3 years' time, you'll find that person doing something different. And I think because I have been around this space for well over a decade, almost better part of 2 decades, seeing those trends come and go and seeing those supposed gurus who are dictating to everyone how their business should be and this is the shiny object you should chase today, seeing them come and go and having zero longevity has just kind of reinforced the way in which we treat memberships. And that is, it's just a business model. It's a way of doing business. It's a type of business. It's not a gimmick. It's not a silver bullet or some sort of, you know, magical business that's going to generate untold riches for zero effort. It's just a way of doing business in the same way that a shop on the high street is a way of doing business or being a coach is a way of doing business. And that's all it is. And it's quite a simple business. So I think, as with anything, once you strip away the hype and the fluff and the overblown rubbish relating to memberships and you focus on your own mission and you actually get the core of what they're about, then you become a little more immune to the, yeah, this is the greatest thing. No, this is the worst thing. Yeah, it's the greatest thing again. It's the worst. It's rubbish. I love the online business world, but I despise the online business world. I think too many people forget the business part of it.
I would 100% agree with that. And I think as well, you know, everything is popular. Everything has its 15 minutes of fame. And I think, you know, as a community, the online business community, we love to hate stuff. Like I do this. I do it all my time in my business. I'm like, oh God, I hate that, or I love this. And it does shift depending on what you want to see. I guess my question for you is, why memberships? Like, why did you and Callie decide, great, this is going to be our model? Because it is unusual.
Yeah, there's a few things. Like most people, let's get the money thing out of the way, because that's what a lot of people come to memberships for. Recurring revenue is awesome. Like it really, really is. I was a freelancer. I've run agency, and the unpredictability that comes with working project to project, or even when you've got retainers aren't that secure. That feast and famine, which tends to be mostly famine, that cycling where after every project's done, you're starting from zero again. And there's no guarantees of how much money you'll be making in 6 months because it's so transient depending on your client base. Like that was the root of so much stress and so many problems, personal, business, whatever. Even when the business was very, very successful, there was still no guarantees that wouldn't just disappear tomorrow. So recurring revenue, I just love the accumulating nature of it. I love the fact that if I decide to not sell anything, if I decide to just not do anything, if I just binge watch The Walking Dead, which I've literally just done.
Like weekly plan.
Seriously, we got through 8 seasons in 2.5 weeks. That was pretty specialist. It was a Herculean effort. But you know, if I want to do that, if I'm trading time for money, then I make no money during that period, or I'm just deferring the work I need to do. And as a result, my bank balance will suffer, the income of the business will suffer. I love with recurring revenue that you always have that foundation. So you're just building and layering on your foundation of predictable revenue. And if things start going wrong, you've got a hell of a lot of cliff to walk back on before you fall off. So, you know, if I got 5 or 6 key clients and I lost one of those clients, then that could actually have a pretty big impact on my business, on my life, on my day-to-day. If I've got 2,000 members and I lose one of those members, yeah, it sucks. I still don't like to lose any individual member, but nothing happens, really. It doesn't hurt me in a serious way financially. And it would take a long time before that recurring revenue that's been built up is gone, you know? So I love that. I love the predictability. I love the fact that the stability of that recurring revenue frees up your decision-making process so that you're not making choices based on short-term financial needs. You're not compromising yourself, your principles, the way you want to live, the way you want to do business, because you're a bit skint this month. Like, I love that. And having gone through that burnout of trading time for money and trying to ride that peaks and valleys of the feast famine cycle, having gone through that, it's just night and day. So that's a big thing about memberships. The other thing I love as well, sorry, you did ask.
I'm just nodding like the chat dog. I'm like, oh yeah, oh yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing that I really do like as well is that it's not a finished product. So that actually takes the pressure off. You know, if you're creating a course, or even if you're a coach who's delivering a kind of a signature system or a program, you've got to finish that. You've got to build that and design it. And you need to nail that before you start going out there and selling. Yes, you can refine and tweak, but ultimately the core of what you're selling as a product needs to be locked down in order for you to go out and sell it. With a membership, it's a moving train. It's a constantly evolving business model. Something doesn't work, you can change it. If the kind of the cornerstone type of content that you think is going to be the thing your members love, if people tell you that sucks, then you can just restructure what you're doing. Like, you're not working with as many restrictions, I suppose, as another type of product. And as a result, it's not as do or die. If you get something wrong in terms of your membership offering, it's very easy to maneuver and to steer the ship in a slightly different direction. If you get something wrong in your online course, then that can sometimes lead to it just completely falling apart. And if you put all your eggs in that particular basket, that can totally knock you for a loop financially and mentally for months if you've just messed up your whole course. Get one or two things wrong in your membership, doesn't matter, because people know they're not buying a finished product. They know they are joining something that is ongoing, that's evolving, that's constantly going to be changing. And you as a membership site owner, you have that pocket of real passionate people inside your membership who are telling you, well, this solution to this problem didn't quite work. And actually, or this problem we thought we had, actually, when we've gone through this, we've discovered this new problem. Did you know about that? If you didn't, could you solve that? So you have that constant dialogue and that constant evolutionary cycle between your audience's problems and the way in which you solve them. And I think that just makes for a better product that you sell. And it also just, again, it takes away so much of that pressure and that do or die aspect of running a business.
I really like that. And I like that you've talked about the feedback loop. And that does make it easier because, one of the things that I agree with you is memberships, they have a great feedback loop. I can say to my members, do you like this? And they'll say yes or no, or give suggestions. And I think that's awesome. But the other great feedback loop with a membership is that you know that your membership is doing well when your members start to sell it for you. And so they go out and the feedback loop becomes public, and your members do this. And, I've met diehard membership guys, fans at different conferences and events that I've been to.
It's the same person, just in a variety of different costumes and wigs.
Yeah, Mike and Callie are like this.
Yeah.
Handing out £10 notes to people. But it's true, isn't it? You go to the conferences, and I did it this year at Upreneur, and people were going, I had some of the members from my community there, and they would be saying to people, oh, I'm part of Jess's membership. And they go, oh my God, did she build it with membership guys? And then I don't know. It's this really great experience. And I think, you do get so much from it because your membership then does take on this life of its own. And is that kind of what's happened for you guys in terms of selling a membership? Because I'm like the harbinger of doom when it comes to selling things, because we've got to talk practicalities and margin and all that kind of thing. But the thing that I would say to people is, look, unless a membership is going to be your primary business model, it's difficult for new business owners because attrition is something we just can't get away from. It doesn't matter if you do a course, if you're a coach, if you're, whatever that is, you're always going to have attrition. You're always going to have people who leave. The difference is if you start out with high ticket, you're going to get more of the money in before you start. The attrition process is what we hope for anyway.
Yeah.
So with a membership, would you say that you and Callie focus first on amazing content and providing an amazing experience, and then let your members do the talking?
In the beginning, yes. In the beginning, the content was more important because it just didn't exist out there. There wasn't good content that wasn't outdated or really sleazy snake oil internet marketing rubbish. I nearly swore.
You can.
Awesome. Yeah. So there was a lot of horseshit out there, and our membership was very deliberately set out to be the antithesis of that. And so initially it was primarily about the content. And honestly, a big part of the reason for that was also memberships. It's not something someone just casually hangs around and chats about in their spare time. No one kind of thinks, oh, I'm going to go to the Membersite Academy community and just chit chat about memberships. Usually, you anticipate if someone wants to talk about it, it's because they have a specific question or they come with a purpose in mind to discuss. So we always anticipate our community being a lot more functional in terms of, come when you've got a question, we'll be there to answer it. And in the same way, the content was largely functional. We'll impart this knowledge, we'll help you do X, Y, and Z. But yeah, as the membership grew, our guys are just oddly passionate about memberships in general, which I love because we're oddly passionate about memberships in general. We just didn't realize anybody else was. So we do get people just coming and hanging out and chatting. We've got a guy who's been a member for 3.5 years. He does not have a membership. He has no intention of having a membership. He did at one point, but he decided, and I'd rather talk someone out of starting a membership than talk them into it. And that's essentially what we did. We helped him realize through our community that the membership model just wasn't right for him. But he still sticks around, he still pays, he still comes and chats in the community just because he likes us and he likes being around membership owners, because ultimately they are people running businesses, they are educators, they are marketers, they are salespeople, and they are usually passionate experts and influencers in a wide variety of different fields. So, those elements definitely made the community part a lot more dynamic. And as a result of that, there is a lot more word of mouth. Our people do go out there and they do sell for us. And that for us is hugely gratifying, but also it's a big, part of our marketing strategy. So we try and kind of tease that out and encourage that where we can. One of the main areas where that works like gangbusters is inside our free Facebook group. We've got the biggest free Facebook group of membership site owners in the world, and we never sell the academy in there. We never post a single sales message ever, because we don't need to, because our members do it. Because someone will come in and say, has anyone got any advice on how to get more people to stick around after they've been on a trial for my membership? And, like clockwork, someone will come along in the comments and say, if you're a member of Membersite Academy, why not check out this thing? And we're like, yes. So, that's just kind of what happens. I think when you show up and you look after your members or your customers, whatever field you're in, then they'll show up and they'll look after you when the opportunity presents itself. I think your job as a business owner is to create those opportunities where you can, because exactly like creating that Facebook group, we have created somewhere where our fans can talk about us rather than just sending them off out into the wild where maybe the opportunities won't be as prevalent.
I think that's awesome because, again, I get lots of people who come to me and say, but Jess, people say just build it and they'll come. And I'm no. Maybe like 10 years ago when the internet was still relatively, and fax machines are still a thing, maybe, just maybe you would have that hit and miss thing on the internet where you write a blog and suddenly a bunch of people find it and just buy from you. But now we have to create experiences that make people want to sell something for you, that make people want to recommend you. And I think that's the big thing for me that stands out about you and Callie, is that there are plenty of people out there, and this makes me laugh, that will create a course on how to sell a membership. And for me, I'm always like, that's the most disjointed thing I've ever seen. I want to know that the people that I'm learning from are the experts in that particular area. And that's why we hire those people. That's why we pay them. So I love it when people create correlated business models. Oh, we really like membership, so we're going to create a membership about membership. Oh, I'm really keen on courses. I'm going to create a course about creating the best kind of course. Fantastic. But it's about having that passion for something and looking at what's the best way we can deliver that.
It's showing you have faith in what you're teaching people. Yeah. So the whole creating a course about memberships is like, on the one hand, I'm glad that they do that because it gives me the opportunity to have these conversations and be like, isn't that just the dumbest thing ever? But also, all it says to me is you don't have faith in the very model that you're teaching. You don't. because otherwise you wouldn't be doing it as a course. You do it as a membership. You know, I've seen situations where people have created those types of courses, and I've seen people ask, is this a membership? And then those guys have come back and said, well, you know, it's not a membership because you can't teach memberships in a membership. And I'm like, what? What world are you from? And it's all nonsense. It's because you can sell a course for $2,000 and it's a lot harder for somebody to punish you, I suppose, for not delivering on your promises than it is with a membership. Because believe me, you know, the membership, it is a hard business model in that you have to deliver. You have to serve up what your members are expecting. You have to solve their problems, because if you don't, they'll leave. And that's great for me as a business owner, because it gives me a vested interest in making my members successful. Because if I can't help you make $50 a month, which is what our membership costs, if you can't make an additional $50 a month to justify being in our membership, I don't deserve your money. Please leave, like go away, because I'm doing my job poorly. And I think that is why people who opt to have a disjointed business model, I think it's to get away from that expectation and that emphasis on actually living up to the hype. There's some people are very good at selling the sizzle, but you know, they can't even spell sausage. So
that is not what I was expecting. So there you go, guys. I mean, if you see an advert for a course out there selling memberships, maybe just tag Mike and
don't, because we have this kind of like, I'm always just like a really thin margin away from just blowing up on that sort of stuff. It's good because what it does, it creates a bad guy for us to be the heroes against, because that is literally how it is.
And that's so important, though. Do you not find in business, and I do this, and my boyfriend says it's because I'm a very cynical person. I'm a very cynical person, and I'm in an industry that is incredibly lacking in terms of integrity and in terms of sometimes just humanity, right? Sales is not the industry that people go into typically if they think about helping people. But having competition out there that perhaps isn't doing the things the way that I would do them, or that doesn't have the same moral standards or ethical standards that I do, that gives me ammunition to be like, right, this is why I'm getting up every day, to show people there's a different way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's very important. I see some people approach that wrong. I see some people just becoming a critic of other people. And so they end up talking more about the bad guys in their industry than they talk about why they're the good guy. And, you know, I don't know if it's an English thing. I'm a bit like you. I'm a bit of a cynic as well. But also, yeah, I'm a working class northern lad. So I always have that sort of, that thing where, you know, you have the elite and you have the people who are just out for themselves. And then you have the good guys who are doing things properly. And I like to be on that kind of side. So it's more of a natural fit. But you have to be constructive with it for your audience. Because if you just rant about how much everyone else sucks, your audience learns nothing other than, okay, those other people suck, but why do they suck? And what should I be doing differently? So I think it's always a teaching opportunity, I suppose, of actually educate. I think you educate people, this person sucks and this is why their way of doing it is unethical, or this is why their way of doing it is wrong. And this is where their advice and strategy comes from, and this is why it's flawed. And I think that turning those elements of an industry into an opportunity for you to actually teach and create better customers, I think that's where the real upside of having those dodgier, shadier elements in your industry are. But, you know, there's no denying sometimes you see some of this stuff and it just makes you despair. Like it really does. And because a lot of the time they get away with it. You know, they don't get called out on it. And you can't be the one to necessarily call them out by name, because then the conversation moves away from a productive, constructive place into just a spat.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is, though, more than okay to think in your head, what an aubergine emoji that person is.
Yeah.
I really think this to myself. Whether or not I comment on it publicly doesn't mean that it's not going on in my brain. I guess my biggest question for you really is, you've got this amazing membership. And right at the beginning, we talked about you also write books, you've got podcasts, you're hosting an amazing event, which hopefully we're going to talk about in a minute because I'm going to be there and it's going to be epic. But you've created this from a membership. And that's not the first thing people think about when they create memberships. They think, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm going to create this membership and it's going to do this thing, and maybe I'll get 2,000 members or 5,000 members. That's great. But they don't necessarily think, okay, so what else can I do with that community, or how else can I serve them? How did you guys start thinking about like that? How did that become a thing?
It's that feedback loop. There was stuff that we always knew we wanted to do. So we knew we wanted to do a big conference from day one. We just knew we wouldn't be able to do it on day one. So we knew that it was further down the line. In terms of the books, honestly, I still think we need to write our proper book, because Member Machine was a bit of a repurposing of content we'd created for our members. So it's still great stuff, but it wasn't something where we sat down and said, okay, we're going to write a book and let's plan out the chapters. It was something that came together as a result of stuff we'd already created. So that's almost an outlier compared to the other stuff we do. But, most of the things we did a high level or a higher level masterminds. We've done workshops and stuff like that. A lot of these are things we already knew we wanted to do once we had the core of the membership down. There were some other ideas that we'd had that we scrapped, because actually once we started getting that working feedback from members rather than just from our own brains or from our own assumptions, we figured, that's not the direction to go in. And yeah, so it's all it's come out of the fact of having that membership first, meaning that we have buyers. Mm-hmm. We don't just have people in a Facebook group. We don't just have people on a list. We have ring-fenced our absolute perfect customers, and we talk to them literally every day. So, there's that whole thing, the saying of the money's in the list. So in the online marketing space, the money is in the list, meaning that you need to focus on building your email list because they're the people who will buy from you. And that's true. But the money's actually in the membership. Like literally every single person in there is paying you. These are your most qualified buyers. And you know that because you've already qualified that they are serious enough about achieving their goals that they're willing to invest in it. And then it's a case of looking at, okay, well, how else can I serve them? How else can I help them get the results that they want quicker? How can I help them achieve and exceed their goals beyond what they're doing right now? How can I help them in person? How can I, help them in a more tailored basis? And that opens up the opportunities to develop additional products. I think it's funny though, when you mentioned some people don't think of creating that kind of ecosystem or product. Some people don't, but some people really do. Some people really God, they go so far in that other direction. And so, they're asking, okay, well, what membership plugin is going to allow me to offer order bumps and upsells and have all this cross promotion, all that sort of stuff? I'm like, dude, just build one thing first. Stop trying to build and sell 10 things. Build one thing, sell one thing, prove you can do it, and then build and sell something else. Because actually, you'll be able to make more informed decisions about that once you've got buyers and once you can actually, get data and observe how people use the thing you've already sold them. So yeah, I think there's a danger of going in both directions. I think the latter is much worse because you're trying to build this multinational, multifaceted, mammoth business. And yet you've literally not sold a single thing online in your life. Just start simple. I'm all about that simplicity. Yeah, it's less stressful and it's just easier to sell and it's easier to manage and it's easier to then scale and expand on when the time's right.
Well, this is it. And also then your audience don't feel rinsed. And I think that's some people, when you do go in that other direction, there's this risk that obviously you try and sell too many things at once, but also that your audience, they pay for a solution in your membership and then you're constantly like, but it's not good enough, have this, that. And I think you've always got to be careful with the membership that other offers are actually being put in front of them that are relevant and that are genuinely going to help them. I've sold, I've always said to my members, they get discounts on anything else I do. It's the only place in my business that you can get a discount on anything. Because I'm like, we reward loyalty.
Yeah, it's the easiest perk for you to offer as well. It's of course you get discounts. You are my people.
Right? Exactly. You're my tribe. And it's the only way that I do it. But when we sell, when we tell them about offers, we don't go in and every single offer that I've ever sold go, oh, did you know you can also have these 50,000 other things?
Yeah.
You say to people specifically, look, it's like I'm doing a mastermind for 2019. And I said, look, heads up, guys, doing a mastermind. If you want to join it, there is an application form. Obviously, you get your normal discount.
Yeah. There's a lot of memberships where it becomes very apparent once you get in there that it is literally step one on a funnel. I think that comes from setting out to create a suite of products from day one, because it means that when you built your membership, you've had it in your mind that the aim of the membership is to get people from product one to product two. You're not thinking about what your members join for. You're thinking about solving your problem. My problem is, how do I get people from paying me $49 a month to pay me $300 a month? That's the wrong way to approach it, because all of us in business, doesn't matter what we do, what industry, whether it's online, offline, B2C, B2B, whatever the hell, we're all in the same business, and that's the business of solving problems. But when you prioritize solving your own problems over solving those problems of the customer, then I think that's the shortcut to under-delivering, to alienating your customers. And that is very much what you see. You see the sales page, it's all singing amazing membership. You think it's going to be the solution. Then you get in there and it's like, okay, great, you're here. This is going to help you do X, Y, and Z. But if you're really serious about getting results, what you really need is our super duper mega membership at only an extra $200 a month. And people aren't stupid now. I think this harks back to what you were saying before, where the whole build it and they will come, and that being almost a remnant of the kind of 90s to early 2000s phase of online entrepreneurship, where it was the Wild West, where it was gold rush territory, where simply getting there was more important than what you did once you were there. And so back then you could rinse people because they didn't know better, because the notion of buying stuff online was new. The notion of learning online was new. And so you didn't know that these things really sucked and that these things were a total scam. And some of the biggest names in internet marketing, they became big names because they did things the bad way. Some of the, I'm not going to name names because this is possibly getting into legal territory. Some of the biggest, most revered names in internet marketing, they got busted by the FCC several times. Like, one of the biggest brands in online marketing right now, digital marketing and that whole thing, one of the partners in that was like prosecuted and arrested and banned from the act of online marketing. Like, I didn't even know that could happen, but that happened. Like, so all that sort of stuff just doesn't fly these days. It really, really doesn't. You've got to be prioritizing solving your audience's problems, and that should be evident in whatever you do. But within a membership, if you want to design a whole series of products and a whole ecosystem, I prefer that word to funnel, then it needs to be member first every time.
It's all about making good money, and good money.
Yeah.
The money you put in your bank account, but also how much you can sleep at night. And that for me is important.
That was the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Me and Callie, when we were still servicing clients, kind of one-on-one, two-on-one, we wrote a little manifesto, because we were just like every other sort of agency where, you have the peaks and the troughs, but also where as creatives and as marketers and strategists, you're always just that little bit unfulfilled, because try as you might, clients don't always listen to you. They don't always take your advice. Even though they're paying you good money, they don't always listen. And there's a period, I think, in the career of anyone who works with clients where you kind of tell yourself, well, if you want to pay me all this money and ignore me, that's fine. I'm making that money. But the lack of fulfillment does catch up with you. And so we had a kind of a come to Jesus moment where we were like, okay, something just isn't right about the way this sort of business works, where you feel subservient to clients, where you're not using all of your toolkit because, your client just wants you to make their website look like Pat Flynn's. And you're like, but dude, we can just do so many other things. Yeah, that all sounds amazing, as long as it looks like Pat Flynn's. And I love Pat. Pat's website's awesome. This isn't a diss on Pat. This is more you don't get to flex your muscles all the time when you are subject to the needs of your client. So we had this come to Jesus moment where we're like, okay, we're just gonna try doing things differently and shake it up a bit. So we wrote this little manifesto just for us. It wasn't one of those manifestos we have a graphic designer do to make us look all insightful. It's just for us. And we wrote a list of rules for ourselves. Number one rule, don't work with dickheads. That was a non-negotiable. We had a bunch of other stuff on there as well, but it was mostly around, we're kind of going to set the rules. Like, we are not subservient to clients. People come to us for a reason, and that is actually empowering. And that means that it's our job to not force them to see our way, but to fight harder for them to see our way. And, I think so much, especially when you're working one-on-one with clients, of that gets lost. And I think we allow ourselves to be compromised, and that then compromises how we actually, work with people and how we serve them and the sort of products that we develop. And you become jaded and you become cynical, and not in a good way. And then just becomes all about the money. Mm-hmm. You are literally just working because someone's paying your bills. And that's just a slippery slope. For us, it has always been, and this was one of the key points, this tangent for the Manifesto stuff, about how we make the money and not how much money we make. And that's still, we don't work with clients one-on-one at all now. So a lot of the stuff we had in place about, clients will respect our process. We will not get on the phone if you aren't willing to fill out our quotation form and stuff like that. A lot of that's irrelevant to us now, but the main, most prevalent thing for us is that it's more important how we make the money than it is how much money we make. Yeah. And I think when you start approaching things that way, everything gets better. You can sleep better at night, like you say. And the funny thing is, you make more money. Yeah. Like, genuinely. Since we actually started being more concerned with the how we make the money than how much money we make, we ended up making more money anyway. And we enjoy it a lot more. And we have less stress and all that sort of stuff.
I love that. So there you go, guys. If you want to be a good person, you want to make a ton of money, and you want a membership, Mike and Callie are, I was going to say you're men, but Callie is not a man. So
Callie's not a man. No.
So where can people find you? Because I'm just going to throw in a little plug for Retain Live, which you guys are obviously doing next year. And I know it can sometimes be a little bit awkward to plug things on other people's podcasts. So I'm happy to be like, yeah, it's going to be amazing. But you're doing Retain Live, which is obviously your inaugural. I'm going to use that word because it sounds fancy.
It is. Yeah.
And it's in Newcastle, and it's going to be next summer, which I'm very excited about, because Newcastle might by that point actually be warm, which
hold on, no
10 degrees.
It's in September. September is not summer here. Summer in Newcastle is like the first 7 days of June. That's it. Our seasons work differently here.
So when I agreed to be a speaker, I thought it was going to be, I may or may not. But no, I'm going to be speaking there. I'm going to be talking about sales and membership sites and how to make more money from them. Well, you can sleep at night and all that good stuff. But you're hosting this amazing event. You've got some incredible speakers. You've got Andrew and Pete coming. You've got Chris Ducker going. You've got Amy Woods. You've got Janet Murray. All these people I'm very much looking forward to going for beers and wine with. I'm absolutely excited for that, and to meet all the awesome people are coming too. So, who should be coming along to Retain Live, and how can they find out more about it? Yeah,
we are really, really heavily focused in the event on membership growth. So this is ideally for people who already have a membership. We're not going to be trying to sell you the idea of starting a membership. We're not going to teach you how to build one. The expectation is if you're in the room, you have a membership and you want to grow it. So you want to get more members. You want to do a better job of keeping them. You want to engage them better, have them consuming more of your content, participating more in your community. But also, you want to look at things that we just talked about, developing additional products and offerings for your members. Or maybe even just scale your business itself. So the systems, the processes, building out the team. Those are the types of people who are going to benefit the most from Retain Live. There's a lot of stuff out there where you can learn how to build a membership, but the thing with memberships is getting the membership launched. That's not the finish line. Like, that is literally the starting pistol. So we're here for people who are already running that race, and we're going to help you run it a little bit quicker. And I'm trying to stress this analogy now of the marathon, but I've run out of so we're going to help people who have a membership get that next level and grow it. So yeah, it's very, very heavily niched, and membership's already niche. So we're a niche of a niche, but that has me very excited because everyone who's speaking on stage either has a membership or they play a key role in other successful memberships. And so it's not just the usual stuff you'll see at every other event. And even for some of the speakers, we've got some great speakers, yourself included, who you'll see on stages around the world. They're going to be talking about membership stuff. So it really is a one-of-a-kind event. And it's in Newcastle. Newcastle's awesome. Like, it's not that cold. We'll turn the heating on. We'll bring some jackets. We'll be fine.
I'm very, very excited. So if you are interested in learning more about memberships, obviously you can head over and find the membership guys. If you are interested in setting up a membership or you want to go and talk memberships, you can join the free Facebook community. But if you are somebody who already has a membership, or if 2019 is your year for hitting that starting pistol, and then you want to come and hang out with people and talk about membership growth, development, sales, all that kind of stuff, make sure that you do pick up a ticket for Retain Live. It is 2 days. I will be there ostensibly, so if you want to come and talk to me about any of the crazy stuff we talk about on the podcast, or you want to come and talk to any of the other speakers and hear what they have to say about memberships, then make sure you head to retainlive.com, and we will put the link for that in the show notes as well for those of you who are driving. Thank you so much. Seriously, it's been wicked. I would sort of even apologise for the roast at the beginning, but it just went really well. I'm feeling fine about it.
Yeah. Okay. Can we have a redo? Can we have a redo that ends in an apology?
Dear Mike, I'm very excited to be speaking at Retain Live. It's so lovely to have you on the podcast.
Yes, despite the slur. Yeah. You can go. Well, this is the thing. It's football season will be underway there, so you can. It's only 30 minutes or so from Newcastle to go and watch Sunderland play. If you're in the mood for a bit of torture.
Seriously, thank you so much for coming on today. I know everyone's going to love it. I know that they're all going to come and find you and set up amazing memberships, and it's been amazing. So guys, make sure you go over retainlive.com or search out the membership guys and find them on Facebook and have a chat about all things recurring revenue.